28th of November 2022. This Warrafak moment, I'm going to talk a bit about NATO again. And NATO is stuttering. This Skidmarks is going to have a few tidbits about the things that is happening around the NATO issue, which makes one wonder, do they have people there with common sense or not? Let's start off with this from Maria Zakharova. NATO countries seem to be in a competition with each other, flooding Ukraine with weapons and ammunition, training its military personnel, thereby moving ever closer to dangerous line beyond which lies direct confrontation with Russia. And that is a reality. And there are some people there in Ukraine, and there are people in Europe that does not really understand what will happen if it's an open, direct confrontation between NATO and Russia. The moment that happens, the whole of Europe becomes targets for Russia. Just remember that. Yes, obviously Russia will be a target for NATO, but the whole of Europe will be targets for Russia. Now imagine your city, wherever you live in Europe. You get a missile swarm of 100 missiles coming in. What are you going to do? Then there is this. When the West, NATO, was not satisfied with the way Serbian TV reported, they buried 16 technicians under the rubble of a master studio building, which you can still see in Belgrade, because it was left as a monument of shame. Maybe this makes Western media more credible. Not even Archivilian Russia deliberately destroyed Ukrainian media to stop it from reporting. Look at that building there on the left top corner. That is what that fucking NATO did. That was a master studio building. This is what the West has lost its moral compass. I'm telling you, and all of this is under the instigation from that fucking newcons sitting in the shithouse down in Washington. They are bloody warmongers. That's all they are, warmongers. I read a little article earlier today. I couldn't believe it when I read it. The fucking guy from the Republican Party in America. They just won the House. And he openly says that this doesn't mean that our support of Ukraine is going to stop. There are more of his words. There are more than enough of us, both sides of the aisle, that want this to continue. What the fuck is that? And then we get this little cretin. NATO admits Zelensky openly lied about Poland's strike as observers slam Kiev for pushing for World War III. He wants World War III. I don't understand what the fuck happened to common sense in the West. Listen to this shit. France has had a hand in the assassination of 22 African leaders since 1963, preventing former African colonies from achieving full economic independence. Macron, anti-France sentiment growing in Africa is a result of Russian propaganda. History is now Russian propaganda. They are fucking clowns. That's what they are. 22 African leaders assassinated since 1963. Let that sink in. And then we get this from Germany. And I am so disgusted in Germany. I always had a lot of admiration and respect for Germany. But what I've seen in this past 8-9 months makes me sick. German Defense Minister Christina Lambrecht: we are now at the absolute limit in terms of what we can give to Ukraine. We want to be able to provide for defense of the country, Germany, and NATO, Reluctantly, I must reject some of them because as the German Minister of Defense, I have obligations. We need to make sure that Ukraine has the ability to survive. It is to be expected that this war will continue for months. I do not want to give false hopes that this war may end soon on the coming days or weeks. And now you must forgive me, because I am a fully registered, qualified chauvinist. This is how a chick operates as the Minister of Defense of a major country. And then we get this. UK providing Ukraine with cutting-edge weapons. The UK has supplied Ukraine with high-precision Brimstone 2 missiles. The British media reported on Monday. Video releasing by the military showed the delivery of an advanced version of the projectile compared to those already in use with Ukraine forces. According to reports, London began shipping earlier versions of the missile to Ukraine about 6 months ago. These projectiles are typically fired by Ukrainian troops from modified trucks. They are used to destroy enemy tanks and other military vehicles. And what I am wondering, what the fuck will the British do if a stray missile from Russia falls in London? What will the British do? Their whole fucking military can't even fill a soccer stadium. So, but they were fucking quick to say that Iran should be sanctioned because they supply weapons to Russia. That Zelensky fucker was quick to say so Iran must be bombed because it ships weapons to Russia. I don't know what the fuck is going on in the heads of the West. Obviously nothing. And then we get this. Stockpiles of weapons in Western countries, including the United States, have reached critically low levels due to deliveries to Kiev, and the ability to replenish them turned out to be very limited, writes Le Monde. Now, let that sink in. And I did a skidmark on it way back, I think it was in April, where I was saying that NATO will run out of ammunition in 7 days if they get into a conventional war with Russia. And a lot of people told me I'm crazy. And we see it here. Now listen to this fucking madness. Bomb Iran to stop a wider war in Europe and protect Taiwan. After the Afghanistan and Ukraine debacles, the West must show strength to save the world. What the fuck is that? Bomb, 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 bomb. That's what they want to do, and that's all they can do. And now they're in a fucking tight spot. They are running out of bombs while Russia and China makes bombs at an alarming rate. These guys are running out of bombs and they want to go and bomb Iran. And then look at this childish cuck from this guy. What? You see, it's one of those post-stamp Baltic states. Estonian foreign minister sent handcuffs to The Hague, and they will be waiting for the founder of the Wagner PMC there. These guys, they make me laugh. They are like children. That's what they are. Children. And then you get this from the New York Times. Artillery is breaking in Ukraine. It's becoming a problem for the Pentagon. Ukrainian soldiers are firing thousands of shells daily, forcing the US to replace gun barrels across the border in Poland. Ukraine's weapons are burning out after months of overuse or being damaged or destroyed in combat, and dozens have been taken off the battlefield for repairs, according to the US and Ukrainian officials. A third of the roughly 350 Western-made howitzers donated to Kiev are out of action at any given time, according to the US defense officials and others familiar with Ukraine's defense needs. Swapping out a howitzer's barrel, which can be 20 feet long and weigh thousands of pounds, is beyond the capability of soldiers in the field and has become a priority for the Pentagon's European Command, which has set up a repair facility in Poland. The effort to repair the weapons in Poland, which has not previously been reported, began in recent months. Now think about this. And I've heard something very interesting from Alexander of the Duran earlier this evening. And he said that in general, now listen, in general, not specific, in general, the Western artillery has got slightly longer ranges than the Russian artillery. And the reason for it is that the West pressurizes their battles much higher than what the Russians do. And that gives them a little bit of reach, but the artillery pieces can't handle it. Apparently that M777 has got a lifespan of 2,500 shots. Then it must get a serious overhaul. The Ukrainians are firing in Bakhmut, they are firing between 4,000 and 5,000 shots a day. A day! So think about that. So a trip at M777 typically will last half a day. NATO strikes at Yugoslav power plants. That's the heading here. And the bone? The West demands that Russia stop strikes on Ukraine's energy infrastructure. But in 1999, during the NATO operation against Yugoslavia, the alliance forces themselves bombed such facilities with the support of the world community. Hypocrisy. That's what we see here. This is the fucking problem. They say Russia must stop doing it to Ukraine, but they did it to Yugoslavia. Same way they bombed Libya to pieces, and Syria, and Yemen, and Iraq, and Afghanistan. This is the thing. These Western warmongers are major killers. They have killed millions of people in the past 20 years. Millions. But they think that they are entitled to killing people. And then we get this from that little fucking island sitting there next to Europe. The Ukrainian armed forces should continue stepping up their military offensive in the winter in order to maintain momentum, Ben Wallace, head of the British Ministry of Defence, said in an interview. P.S. He meant, you are dying very slowly. You need to pick up this pace so that the project to the last Ukrainian does not stall. Think about it. This is the reality of what's going on there. And who is in charge of all this madness, or not? Who's the driving force in all this madness? NATO, under direct instructions from those newcon warmongers sitting in the shithouse. And on that, please give me a like, subscribe, and a share. Thank you for your support.